for you as an individual to develop yourself as a leader. Leadership. Isn't it amazing that a concept as simple as leadership, a concept that has existed since mankind has existed, that if I ask a question, what is leadership, in this room of 36 people, I will get 36 different explanations of what leadership is. And that's why we need to take time to learn, to develop, and to get a compass of what really leadership is and what kind of leaders do we want to develop. In Toastmasters, our tagline is, where leaders are made. And that's why we've created this series so that we become more intentional about building the kind of leaders that are needed in Toastmasters, the kind of leaders that are needed in organizations, the kind of leaders that are needed in the marketplace, and the kind of leaders that are needed across the world. This series is a 6-week series, and this is a vision for me to say, let's build the leaders that we need that will help us build our organization as Toastmasters, so that we can build a pipeline of leaders for the next 3 to 5 years. But while we do that, we ensure that we are intentional about the leaders that we build for our communities, for our corporates, for our world, and hence the Excellence in Leadership series. We don't want just leaders. We want leaders that are excellent. Leaders that are committed to excellence. Leaders that will be ambassadors of excellence. And we welcome you. I hope while you are learning, you will have lots of fun. But most of all, my belief is what you learn here is something that you can take to the next person, that you can take to your community, to your club, to your organization, and wherever you go. We want leaders that are quality leaders, leaders committed to excellence. And to kick off our series today, we've got one of the best, someone that I've worked with since I came to Toastmasters. I'll tell you a story. When I came to Toastmasters, this is one person I looked up to. I used to see him before I even joined Toastmasters, and I admired his tenacity. I admired his courage. I admired just his excellence. And this is before I even got started with Toastmasters. When I got started with Toastmasters, I was looking forward to be in touch with this person and to work with him. And alas, a couple of years later, I got an opportunity to work with him. A person who's made the saying, hope is not a strategy. He's made that saying very popular, and it is true. A person who is committed to exceeding expectations, and a person who is committed to building leaders in Africa. People think about leadership in Africa. Please help me welcome my friend, my mentor, my leader, Andrew Tsuro.
Mr. Program Quality Director and the leaders in the room, what would it take for your world to change? What would it take for your world to change? Contrary to popular belief, many people look at their world and potentially see it as a world that requires a massive room to work on. And yet, we have just one day at a time to shape what tomorrow looks like. For what we celebrate today is a result of the work we put in yesterday. And you have done this already. I used to believe that at some point I'll have an opportunity to change the world. And I would do so when suddenly one person would help gather the masses, get 7 billion people under one sky. And then I would address them in 5 to 7 minutes. How possible would that be? You see, when I look back, I realized that leadership was not a concept that I started learning at a particular point in my life in school or perhaps somewhere else. And this evening, I want to challenge you to go back to your first inclination of what leadership looked like. Before we redefine it to what we have it as today, let's go back to what leadership looked like. Now, many of you might not remember because it's years and years ago, but for me, it's just a couple of weeks ago. Let me take you back to 2003. I am in grade two. For those that don't know grade two, it's standard something. But I'm in grade two at school, and it is the December holidays are coming up. My dad comes back from work. He worked at the National Railways. And so as he comes back from work, he says to us, this year, we're going on a holiday. Now, let me tell you why this was an important aspect for him to share. Because at some point in my growing up, I used to like following my dad around. I don't know, has anybody ever had this feeling of wanting to follow their parents around? Or do you have your young ones having this edge of wanting to follow you around wherever you go? In my case, I loved following my dad around because I assumed that wherever he would go, we would get something, whether it's pocket money or a few eats or ice cream or whatever it was, Coca-Cola, where it started all the way. And that moment in time, at some point in time, that changed. You see, one time he was called out to a breakdown in one not so prominent area in the country. And I cried so hard to follow him. And I regretted me crying to follow him because we were going to what I called the Bundus, an area where there was no ice cream, an area where there was no tuck. And even if he gave me pocket money, I wouldn't be able to use it. And ever since that moment, when I was 5, I never had the urge to cry to follow him around because I was always skeptical if I'm going to be stuck on this breakdown site for longer than the night. Like that day, that fateful day. And so this time around, I'm 7 and he comes and says, we're going for a holiday. Can you picture what a holiday looks like? I'm sure you can. And so I'm excited. But there's one thing that my father had learned along the years. And I'm sure some of you parents know this phrase so well when you're going on a holiday, particularly a road trip. Are we there yet? And I'm sure it frustrates you. I wonder why. I'm yet to be a parent, so probably I'll find out later on. But for now, I wonder why it frustrates parents. But at that point in time, my father had learned the art of leadership, vision. So what my dad did that evening, he came back home with what they called an atlas. I don't think Google was familiar then, but he came with a book which we called an atlas. Are you familiar with an atlas? Do you even have an atlas still in your home? Or does Google do all the work? My dad brought home an atlas and he started showing us where we were going on holiday. We were going to a place called Cape Town in South Africa, and we were going to take the road. He would drive, and the rest of us would be part of that car. Do you think we were excited about that holiday? Of course, we were. In fact, we wanted to know when we were going there, when we were leaving, and what it would take for us to be part of this journey. We started planning our outfits and forgot that we were supposed to be preparing for exams. One of the things that he eventually later learned that it was best to share where we were going after our final exam. But on that day, he took an atlas and showed us what Cape Town looked like. Cape Town looked like this mountainous place with two oceans around it. And boy, oh boy, did the anticipation grow. We wanted to be in that car. And from that day going forward, till the day we finally left for Cape Town, every time my dad left the house, I'll be asking, are we going there yet? And you'll be like, not today. 19 more sleeps. Are we going there yet? Not today. 10 more days until I started counting down 10, 9, 8 to the day we left for Cape Town. On that trip, I don't remember. Perhaps he recalls, but I could have been impatient. But I remember vividly knowing that I will know that we're in Cape Town when I see the mountainous region and I'm able to see the two oceans. Ladies, leaders, and gentlemen, that was a visionary leader in my books. Tonight, as we unpack the conversation about what visionary leadership is all about, developing our own vision, mission, and values, let's take this experience with my dad as an example of what vision could look like in your community. And remember the question I asked you at the beginning. What would it take to change your world? My dad had this vision of taking us to this place that had a mountainous region, the Table Mountains, as well as two oceans. What about you? What is your vision? Or better yet, why should you have the vision? Perhaps for my dad, having the vision was about them or him, not entertaining questions such as, are we there yet? Because we had the picture of where we were going. And the same as you, the people that are following you, whether it is your young ones or your employees at work or your teams, they are asking the question, are we there yet? Because perhaps, just maybe, they don't know or have the picture of where you are taking them. Would it be beneficial for you to help them do that? Now, early on in my journey, I learned a powerful phrase by the former district director of Toastmasters Southern Africa, Eric Vidi. It is possible that many of us could be doing the wrong thing very right. And what does this look like? It looks like you being on an accidentally on the highway to the wrong destination because you did not set the intention of where you want to be. And so you might be on the wrong highway. And your car might be serviced. You might have a full tank, but you're not going to the destination you want to go. For many of you who are Toastmasters, you will realize that as you journey in Toastmasters, Toastmasters stops becoming the destination, but becomes the vehicle to the actual destination that you want to be in. Like I did. When I started Toastmasters in 2015, 9 years ago, I was a Toastmaster-holic. I would go to an average of 5 Toastmasters sessions a week. Some of them, sometimes I would even go to 3 a day. I was just about the age of 19. And of course, you would know my mission in any Toastmasters meeting that I would attend would be not only to enjoy public speaking, but hey, if it had to be an in-person meeting, there had to be some eats. So some of them would be breakfast clubs because there was free breakfast. Some of them would be midday clubs because these corporate clubs provided eats and lunch. And some of them would be dinner meetings, like the Centurion Toastmasters would provide a full course dinner. And that's when I learned to taste drinks with a percentage. But that was what I was after for 2 good years, until I met a mentor who then suggested that I needed to be intentional, which is the challenge I have for you today. When all is said and done, what do you want to be remembered for? What impact would you have brought to your world? What picture would we have of that space? Or are you currently living like a placeholder in your own world? In the handbook that you would have received, the first task that we have is to develop our vision. And perhaps you're wondering, from my dad, Francis, who had this vision of us going to Cape Town, the destination, to Andrew, who had a vision of a Toastmasters meeting that had eats. What of you? What is the vision that you carry today? Now, let me warn you, in the next 30 minutes, we will not be able to craft the most perfect of visions, but we will start somewhere. Because as much as the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one single step, that single step is the culmination of deciding not to be where we are today. And so, do we decide to starting that movement that will move people from where they are today to the next level of their journeys? Whether it be your family or your team at work, or even the community that you serve, or even, bear in mind, the environment that you're a part of. And so, as I challenge you to think about this, let's take a look at a few individuals that have had visions that have moved people. And let's start home, particularly in South Africa, where a global icon has been noted as such one person. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a gentleman that needs no introduction. And let's see if you can resonate and relate to this that happened on this particular day, on the 24th of June, 1995, to today, 5th of November, 2024. At the end of this clip, I want to ask you, do you believe or think the vision has been realized? Let's have a look.
The realization that sport could actually bring about this unity in a nation.
Good luck to you both.
I was one of the fortunate few 65,000 that were able to be in this stadium to witness in a symbolic moment for our country.
Well, welcome to Ellis Park at this quite dramatic moment here.
For me, it was life-changing to see the power of sport in terms of uniting a country.
Coming into the field, everyone is looking forward to something and no one really knows what's going to happen.
The team had already lined up for the national anthems with Sean Fitzpatrick and the All Blacks on the one side and our team on the other side. And as I walked out the change room into the sunlight of Ellis Park, I heard the crowd chanting, "Nelson, Nelson, Nelson."
Once the great man Nelson Mandela said, "One team, one country," the shift in the enthusiasm of the South African public was just phenomenal.
He's written his name across rugby history, perhaps.
And then, seeing the celebration, seeing 65,000 people not leave their seats because they wanted to get a glimpse of their heroes.
They have stolen the crown. Unbelievable scenes all around the park. But now it really is this Rainbow Nation, all behind their team.
They did something that not only would go down and change the course of history, but they did something that impacted a little 12-year-old boy sitting in the stand.
It was a new nation. It was a nation being reborn. For the first time, we were actually representing all of South Africa, in the first time in our history.
David, we didn't have 60,000 South Africans. We had 43 million South Africans.
Has this vision been realized? Stronger together, one team, one nation. You and I have the same responsibility today to develop a vision that's bigger than I, but more drawn to we. And of course, as you know, this is my favorite topic because I talk about that favorite place that I spoke about, Cape Town, in drought of, yet there are two oceans. Today, you are called upon to come up with a vision that's bigger than you. Perhaps that vision that's directly focused on your family, that's directly focused on your community, or even the country, or even the continent. Because we then become stronger together if our vision is that clear. So what is a vision? A vision is a futuristic ideal. And I want you to think of it from vision to eyes. It's something that you can see, that you can say, I see this happening at a certain point in time. It does not necessarily look at where we are right now, but it looks at the ideal of the future, that futuristic opportunity for us to identify what tomorrow, and tomorrow can be a year from today, 5 years from today, a decade from today, or even a century. What is that vision that you have of yourself for the future? From yourself for the future. And if you're able to articulate it, you are starting to think about perhaps what bothers you about your current situation. What is it that if you had all the resources, you would change? The time, the money, the opportunity. What would you change? And let's start unpacking the things that irk us, our pet peeves, the things that we'd love to see changing in our world, in our communities, in our families. And if we're able to unpack that, then we are well on our way to starting to think about what the ideal would be. And so let me challenge you for a few minutes to think about how you could come up with your vision. If anybody already has their personal vision, I would invite you to share it along on this platform, whether on the chat or by raising your hand as we unpack this conversation about what a vision is and what it could look like. There is no such thing, in my opinion, as a perfect vision because it's well articulated or anything. But there is such a thing as a picture communicating 1,000 words. What is that picture that you see? Maybe for your family, maybe for your community, or even for yourself. But what is that picture from yourself for the rest of the world? A moment to reflect, to think, and to pen down some ideas. And don't be under pressure to try and come up with the perfect vision in one session. I do challenge you, though, that by next week, Tuesday, when you have come up with your perfect vision, you will be able to then reflect back and engage. I'll be welcoming to engaging on that vision that you'd have come up with. But for now, let's start thinking about what is it that we're uncomfortable with? What is it that we don't like today that we may want to see differently? And what is that picture that we want to see? If you say you want to change the world, after you've changed the world, what will the world look like? And that is most likely closer to how you come up with your vision. Anybody who would like to share their vision or their idea of a vision, or anybody who would like to share their thought process in that. And remember, for many of us, our visions are tied to our workplaces. Our visions are tied to perhaps a particular name. Release the ties and keep the picture so that that picture can be fit in any room that you may walk in. So much so that it's portable and you can carry it to wherever you go. Because often our vision is tied to perhaps our matrimonial values. And as much as we don't want those matrimonial values to be broken, what if? Our vision may be tied to our workplaces, but what if that retrenchment later comes with the evolution of the organization? What if? Our vision may be tied to the government that's in the ruling government at that point, but what if it changes? So I'm going to challenge you to come up with a portable vision that you are in control of, and recognize that Toastmasters is not the destination, but the vehicle to that particular vision. Now, I see a comment and a contribution from distinguished Toastmaster Cheryl Mulligan to take youth leadership program to disadvantaged schools. We are well on our way to doing that very well. And what I love about that is we are getting closer to what we want to see. And now, Cheryl, because you shared with me, I'm going to challenge you further. That you understand why I say I want to challenge you further. That once you have done that, what will those disadvantaged schools or people that you have impacted look like? What picture do I see? Your vision is the picture. What is the picture after your contribution? What is the picture looking like?
Would you like me to share with you?
Yes, please.
Okay. I attended a colored government school. I had an absolute fear of public speaking. I heard my daughter that attended a Model C school have a debating and a drama class. And when she went for an interview as an intern, she got the job. I could never get up and do that. And thanks to Toastmasters today, I can do it, but I'm retired, so I've got time, Andrew, so I can go out. I'm going to need some help. I'm definitely going to need some help for that manuals to be subsidized somewhere along the way, but I'm going to come to you. My vision is I'm going to go to the schools that do not have debating, that do not have drama, and offer. I've done it before. I've done it on numerous occasions. So I've got the experience. So that's my vision, and that is why I'm attending this course. I hope you're going to help me get that confidence to go in and win it. Over to you.
Oh, I know you already have the confidence, and we just need to work with you, support you in this vision of making young people in disadvantaged communities confident in articulating themselves. You see, once in this case, as an example, and this is not the perfect output of the vision, but for Cheryl Mulligan, her vision can now be articulated as a world where children from disadvantaged communities are articulate and confident to present themselves. So, you know, Cheryl has achieved her vision when you go to a disadvantaged community and that young boy or young girl, young learner is able to articulate themselves effectively. They're able to debate and they're able to go to an interview and perhaps match or be at the same level as a child that would have gone to Model C schools. Do you see what we say when we talk about a vision? You're looking at that young girl or boy who comes from a disadvantaged community. But because Cheryl has done the work and has achieved a vision, that young boy or girl or learner is able to stand in front of an interviewing panel and measure up or give that experience that a child from a Model C school is able to bring to the party. And so that would be what a vision would be. Our program quality director says his ideal world is where everyone is clear about their mission and wakes up every day to fulfill that mission. So this is where everybody is clear about the mission. And so we need to be able to see, what do people who are clear about their mission look like? And when they wake up every day to fulfill that mission, what are they like? Because we need to be able to see that you have achieved your mission. And so that vision is critical. So always think about the picture. When you think about a vision, what does the picture look like? When we reflect on Nelson Mandela's vision of one team, one nation, we look at it today when we see what one team, one nation looks like. It is where black, blue, red, pink, yellow, colored, gay, lesbian are able to stand behind the Springboks of South Africa and support their nation and sing the anthem together. And that is a perfect picture of the vision realized. So as you work on refining your vision through this program, think about always, if you were to paint a picture of this, what would it look like? If you're unable to paint a picture, chances are there's an opportunity for you to refine your vision. I hope that gives you a good starting point, and many examples come into the space. But at the same time, a mission is supported by what we call a vision. Now, for a vision being us getting to Cape Town with my dad, or you seeing this confident, articulate young learners from disadvantaged communities, something has to take us there. We have to make movement towards that. And like a car or a vehicle, it does not drive itself. So this is where we incorporate a little bit of English. In my trainings, I say this is where I challenge people to think of verbs. Think of a verb, V-E-R-B, the doing words for some of us that did not go to Model C schools and don't remember what verbs are, or those that went to Bantu schools that taught English in their native language. Verbs are the doing words. And leadership, if you ask me, is a verb. When you say you're leading a team of 10, what are you doing? Let's have those verbs. When you say you're leading a team of 10, or when you say I am leading a club, what are you actually doing? Let's have those verbs coming in. And hint, hint to some of those that don't want to embarrass themselves, in a Toastmasters setting, you're in the wrong environment. In Toastmasters, we are in a safe space. And so what is leading? You are clarifying something. Beautiful. I love that. What are the verbs? And let me give you a hint. Verbs, typically, majority of them end with ing. ing. Not all verbs, but most verbs end with ing. You're guiding. What other verbs can you use to reflect? You're coaching, you're mentoring, you're encouraging, you're motivating, you're influencing, you're coordinating, you're directing, you're inspiring, you're uplifting, loving, loving, loving that. And so when we talk about a mission, we are talking about this verb taking us towards our destination. If I were to take you back to my father, his mission was to drive us to Cape Town. And so that could be simply how you could come up with your mission. It is the actions that you're going to take to realize your vision. Your vision is the destination, but what actions are you going to take? And when I talk about actions, I talk about intentional effort. Now, intentional effort is where you then talk about something similar to what Becky Sisa was talking about. Intention precedes any purposeful action. Intention precedes any purposeful action. And so when you're thinking about the mission, your mission, you're starting to think about the vision I have. What will bring out that vision? What will realize that vision? For us to get to Cape Town, we can dream about getting to Cape Town. We can wish to get to Cape Town. It's still a vision. But for us to realize that vision, we have to either drive to Cape Town, we could fly to Cape Town, we could cycle to Cape Town, we could walk to Cape Town, we could take the train to Cape Town. You've got many ways to achieve your vision. The question is, how do you want to achieve your vision? And so when you come up with your vision, the next step that I'll challenge you to do is to come up with the mission. And the mission is a doing verb. It's a doing exercise. It's an action that you take towards that vision. Remember, intention precedes any purposeful action. And so what purposeful action will you take to achieving your vision? Do you remember there's a gentleman who used to say, I have a dream? Do you remember that gentleman? That gentleman had a dream. But like Cheryl Mulligan, alone, he probably felt he wouldn't be able to achieve it. And so what did he do? Let's take a look at something that I think can be insightful to realize what he did.
On a hot day in August 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that would define the civil rights movement and his legacy. This, of course, was his I Have a Dream speech, delivered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Sorry, I had to unmute a little bit there. Do you see his vision that is written as a dream? So can you picture his 4 little children where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character? The question is, has he realized the dream? We go on.
I have a dream today.
The March on Washington served as a massive push for economic and political justice for African Americans. Held during the year celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, crowds marched on the National Mall to watch a variety of musical performances and speeches. Dr. King, a Baptist preacher and prominent civil rights leader, was scheduled to speak towards the end of the day, his debut on the national stage. Up until that point, King mostly addressed small crowds at black churches, rallies, or fundraisers. This time, he would be seen by nearly 250,000 people on the ground, as well as millions at home watching on television. This was an opportunity to reach a wide audience and persuade the public and the government to take action against racial injustice.
What was his intention? In Toastmasters, when we speak, it is said that there are 4 main general purposes: to persuade or sell, which is what he intended to do, to motivate or inspire, to inform or teach, or to entertain. In this case, let's have a quick recap on what his mission was at this particular juncture. Let's look at this.
Opportunity to reach a wide audience and persuade the public and the government to take action against racial injustice. The night before, King worked with a close group of advisors to get the speech just right. They worked through the night, settling on a final draft in the pre-dawn hours of August 28. Interestingly, the phrase, "I have a dream," a phrase he used in earlier speeches, was nowhere to be found in this copy. The words wouldn't manifest until almost halfway into Dr. King's speech, when gospel singer Mahalia Jackson, who had performed earlier in the day, called out to him from the sidelines to tell them about the dream. King set his prepared remarks aside and improvised the rest, crafting a soaring speech that would sear into the minds of millions of Americans.
No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
The speech was divided into two parts. The first listed the injustices that African Americans faced: segregation, police brutality, disenfranchisement, and discrimination, and urged a call to nonviolent action. The second launched into King's dream of peace and racial harmony, a vision of a future in which people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
The vision, backed by a mission, is what got the movement going. What is your vision? And how are you going to get the movement going? You see, Simon Sinek alludes to it perfectly. There was no email then, or phone calls, or WhatsApp groups to gather people together to say, hey, let's go to Lincoln Memorial and get ready because at 2 p.m. Martin Luther will be speaking there. None of that was there. But 250,000 people gathered at the right time, at the right space, at the right venue to hear Martin Luther. I had a dream that 7 billion people will be under one roof, the sky, and I would speak to them and I would change the world in 5 to 7 minutes. I still am yet to realize that dream. But one thing that we can learn from Martin Luther is that he had a dream, a shared vision. And he noticed the problem: racial injustice, discrimination, along those lines. And he had a dream, a vision later highlighted, where his 4 children would not be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. How selfish was he to just think of his own 4 children? That was selfish, right? And yet 250,000 people on that day stood with him and related to the dream. And so why am I highlighting this? Your vision can be related by many people around. And that is why your story matters. That is why we need to hear from you. And that is why your voice is incredibly powerful to change the course of our world. For me, this is where we talk about the need for us to redefine leadership, so that each one of us is able to represent a different demographic and be able to represent them so that those that follow and fall behind that demographic are able to then look at say, because of you, I was able to find my path. Just as 250,000 and the many millions that have now followed and ran with the course of the civil rights movement to date have followed it, because Martin Luther King found the confidence, the voice to be able to articulate what his vision was, what his cause was. Now, what is your cause? What is it that you want to see changing for yourself? And maybe you might find other people with the shared belief, the vision. And Cheryl, don't worry. Cheryl and I have got a good relationship. Cheryl, did you notice that they said that Martin Luther did not come up with that speech all on his own? He had advisors. And where do we fall astray, most of us? Because we take on the title of visionary leader, we need no advice. We know it all. No wonder even the greatest of companies have board of advisors, board of directors to help drive it along. Who is in your board of advisors? Who is in your board of directors to help crystallize that vision so that it connects with everybody? But hey, some of us in this day and world and age, we are fearful that somebody will take it away from us. Somebody will take it as their own and they will recreate it. Andrew will make the phrase, hope is not a strategy, and make it his own. I didn't come up with those words. Somebody did. But they've now impacted, influenced quite a number. Surely I came up with redefining leadership, but again, it's about how do you crystallize it for your audience. And so let's take note from there that once you've come up with your vision, you might not be the best person to come up with the mission as well. You might have a vague idea of how to get there. But because you share your vision with others, they may help you chart your course into achieving that vision. In our family case, my dad had the vision to take us to Cape Town, but to make it enjoyable for us, my mother was the Miss Party. She knew how to make that long drive an enjoyable drive, whether through games and through certain stops and or the foods that would make it more enjoyable. Because a road trip with no food and sweets and ice cream and stops is definitely not the ideal for any young boy or girl. You would agree, right? And so my father's vision was to take us to Cape Town. My mother came in to help crystallize that mission to make it an enjoyable road trip to Cape Town. While my father was behind the steering wheel, driving us towards the vision, we all participated. We all shared in the same mission to make it an enjoyable road trip. With your vision, who are you taking along? Who's got shared beliefs? Who's going to make this mission an enjoyable mission and not mission impossible? Not in this day and age. It's mission possible. And with people around you, as the African proverb says, if you want to go far, go with others. And so for you to come up with your mission, think about the verb. What is the verb that you're going to be using? What's the action that you're going to be taking to help you realize that vision? And like I said, and as we've learned, you may have the dream, but you do need advisors and people around you to help you crystallize the mission. Anyone who's come up with what they think is a clear vision with a close to clear mission. Anyone who wants to just give us an idea of where they are in crafting out their vision and the mission. And there are no wrong answers, only good answers, and good with an opportunity to become better and best in time. Anyone to give it a go, either on the chat or by raising your hand. I see you. I see you. Go for it. Sophia. Sophia says, my vision to myself, or from myself, I'll use that, I'll tweak that a little. My vision from myself is to have my certification and be the best version of myself and make the maximum change to my family, company, and community. Beautiful. Now, Sophia, I love that one. And so when you, after this session, you're going to paint what the best version of yourself looks like. Does it look like you in court shoes? Does it look like you in a red jacket? Does it look like you smiling and confident? Does it look like you dominating an auditorium full of 5,000, 10,000 people, what does it look like? Does it look like that picture of the young girl who looks into the mirror and looks at them as a powerful, indomitable force? That is the picture that I'm interested in, looking forward to hearing and seeing from you once you've refined your vision. Granny B007, I see your contribution there. You're going to be crafting champions. So I'm looking forward to seeing a picture of champions. What do those champions look like? And how are you going to craft those champions? What are those champions going to be? How are you going to have those champions? By creating a culture of care. Then there is Vuyani. Vuyani, you might have a contribution or a question. Come through. Timer, I hope you're timing me so that I don't exceed my time. I do have verbal diarrhea most of the times, and so I do tend to forget. So just in terms of how much time I've left. Over to you, Vuyani.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My vision is to make people know that they can be better than who they are currently. And I think through Toastmasters, I'll be able to do that. I mean, that's basically the reason why I joined Toastmasters, to improve my public speaking skills, because I believe that to achieve that, it will take me speak to people, which I need to be a little bit better than what I am currently. So that's my vision. My vision is to make people understand that they can be better than who they are, and I mean that in many dimensions, from a health point of view, speaking point of view, in all dimensions of life. Yeah.
We're somewhere. I love that, Vuyani. Thank you for sharing. We are getting somewhere, especially when you gave me the last lines of that. I was now able to picture, what does a person who looks, who's better than who they are, what do they look like? Remember, every time you share your vision, be able to paint the picture, because unless that picture is painted, you're going to find yourself wondering, don't people get it? I want them to be like this. But unless we see the picture, a lot of organizations have got passenger employees and not partner employees because the vision is unclear to them. You know, I always give an example, and maybe we will try it, because I know majority of you have played this game. Let's try it for a few seconds. And I see your hand, Marie and Erica, just a few seconds to play this game. I hope you've got a note, a paper in front of you as quickly as possible. We're going to play this game, and I'm going to do 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, please draw a ship. In 30 seconds, please draw a ship. In 30 seconds, please draw a ship. I'm already on red light. Woohoo. All right, give me 5 more minutes. 10 more minutes, please. 10, please. 10. 10. Please draw a ship. Please draw a ship. You've got 15 seconds left. Please draw a ship. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now I want you to give yourself a score for this ship that you've drawn. I know there are artists and perfecters on this ship. I want you to give yourself 10 points if your ship is blue. If your ship is blue, give yourself 10 points. Great. If it does not have blue, it's 0 out of 10. I want you to give yourself 10 points if there's a female captain on that ship. 10 points if 10 points if there's a female captain on that ship. I want you, if you don't have a female captain, 0. I want you to give yourself 10 points if there is a pool on the deck. I want you to give yourself 10 points if there's a pool on the deck, not under, on the deck. I love the conversations there. And so, because in the interest of time, I'm not going to get it to 50 out of 50, but let me find out by a show of hands, if you got 30 out of 30, please raise your hand. If you got 30 out of 30, excluding Vuyani and Erica, if you got 30 out of 30, please raise your hand. Erica, that's a legacy hand, I'm sure. I am certain of this. Majority of us got 0. How dare you guys? I was clear, please draw a ship. And you guys did not get it. I mean, how smart can you be? Here's the thing. I shared my vision of a ship. But would it have been clearer if I articulated to you, please draw a blue ship with the pool on top of the deck and a female captain on it? Would you have gotten 30 out of 13? 30 out of 30? I'm sure yes, right? Some people drew a animal sheep, right? Again, the articulation that Vuyani was talking about, I need to be able to articulate it better. And that could be pronunciation. That could be the way I put it. And maybe there are people who are hearing impaired. And so if I had typed it out, or if I had put it on a slide, all these are ways that we can help ensure that our vision is clear. And many of us, that's the same thing that we do to our companies, to our families, to our organizations. We've got this clear idea of a ship that we want people to draw and go and run with. And when they come with a green ship, what's wrong with them? And that's where the challenge is, to come up with a vision as clear as what we want. Being very clear, a ship that is blue, with a pool on the deck and so forth. And that's the clarity that we're bringing in, and your mission drives it. Now, as you build that mission, ultimately you want to be able to then have values. And in the handbook, I've been able to highlight a series of approximately 400 values that you have. I want you to challenge yourself to pick out your top 5 core values. Pick out your top 5 core values that will help you, that you will carry on as you work towards building that vision. Being a visionary leader, I always say, a leader with no values is no different to a person without a backbone. A leader with no values is no different to a person without a backbone. How many people do you know that don't have a backbone but carry leadership positions? And so as we navigate ourselves to becoming visionary leaders, let's challenge ourselves to create a vision that people can see. Paint the picture so vividly that you and I can see and relate. And then as people relate, they will want to jump on board. And that's how you then create what they call influence. Because purposeful action, remember, intention precedes any purposeful action. And purposeful action contributes to what we call influence. And so for you to develop that influence, it's because you are moving towards a particular direction and you are clear about that direction. And that's how you get your followers. And when you've got followers who are working on the same purposeful action, we have what we call impact. Visionary leaders can help create the impact in the family, community, and world that they bring in. And so, as much as I would have loved to go on, I want to challenge you and encourage you to please take the mission to come up with a defined vision that is clear for everybody, a mission that people can follow and work on because it's actionable, and values that bind us together, because a leader with no values is no different to a person without a backbone. And I know you all have the backbone. Thanks to Toastmasters, I've been able to find my vision, where a community, a continent of leaders who are young, ethical, and smart. Yes, leaders. And how are we going to do this? We are going to redefine leadership in Africa. With what values? Excellence, integrity, service, and of course, our proactive approach. What about you? I'm sorry I couldn't take all your questions, but I'm opening myself up for the next week. Reach out to me if you feel we can have an exchange, text exchange, and then be able to refine your vision and your mission. That concludes this part of my assignment, and I look forward to seeing your vision coming to life from this day forward. Back to you, Madam Day Chair.
Thank you, Andrew Tsuro. I think that was great. Please don't leave yet. We are going to break away into breakout rooms shortly. And what is our assignment? Do we have an assignment, Andrew, as we go to our breakout room?
Of course, the assignment is to clarify your vision, paint what picture your vision is, the mission, and the values that work with you, and share them with the person who you're with in the room, because the shared vision can collaborate and bring about the better continent that we want to be part of. So come up with your vision, mission, and values, and all this is in our handout notebook.
Yes, if you go to the chats, our TLI chair has posted our workbook downloaded. The assignment is there for week 1. So you're going to come up with a vision, mission, and something.
Values.
And values. Yes, and then we can share those. And maybe when we come back, we can come back and share those. And maybe we can come back and say, hey, I was impacted by so-and-so's mission, values, and mission. Estelle, you can open up the rooms. You can join the room that you are allocated to.
I set it up so they go automatically.
Okay, awesome. And they are there for 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yes. Is there a way we can show them a countdown while they are there? Not sure if Zoom is that.
There is. You can do that. Yes.
Yes, maybe we can show
We
them
normally
a
do
countdown.
that. We normally do that like there's 3 minutes left, like that kind of thing that makes them round up. I don't know if it goes past 10.
Maybe when we get to 3 minutes, yes, we'll do a countdown.
I will do that.
I'm going to go around the rooms and just hearing the conversations that are happening there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, Ntombi. Hi, Angie.
You're starting to have fun, and then it's over.
Life's like that. Is Becky back yet?
He is on his way. Whilst Becky is coming back, I had the privilege of listening into others as they were sharing. Remember, guys, the vision is the picture at the end. If you can't paint it, chances are it's unclear yet. And that's okay because we're working on making it clear. If you can't paint it, if you can't draw it, we're working on putting it that way. And so your vision does not have an ing. You're not creating, you're not developing. Your vision is clear. It's a noun, it's a place, it's the Table Mountains. And then the mission is what has the ing. It's what you're creating, it's what it is that you're doing. So always keep in mind, if you, for example, I think I had a beautiful vision earlier where from Erica, who was talking about a mentorship program. Now she's going to be creating a mentorship program. That's the mission. But the vision is what that individual after the mentorship program looks like. If you can come up with a picture of what that individual looks like after the mentorship program, that's the vision, because that's what we see. And how are you going to see that person? How are we going to have that kind of an individual? Through the mentorship program. I hope that helps. Just thought, let me share. In the meantime, anybody else who would like to share their vision, mission, and values that they found out? And I'm going to focus on the vision and mission for now, because the values, you still need to have time. So let's go to the vision and mission by a show of hands. Or if there are any questions that are stuck, I think I've got maybe the next 5 odd minutes to answer the questions, if there may be any. Show of hands, especially those that I may have left aside earlier on. Any questions, or if you'd like to share your vision or mission that you came up with. I had beautiful ones in the rooms that I was in. Lillian, over to you. And then from Lillian.
I'm sharing my computer with Darby, so Darby will share his.
Yeah.
Hi, Darby.
Apologies, I don't have a computer at the moment to go in, but I'm involved in an NGO that's an adoption society, and there's 3 legs that the main problem at the moment for them is the sustainability. It's in Gauteng, and unknown government department, which I'm not allowed to say. I did say earlier. But their funding model makes the sustainability difficult. So the purpose of the vision or the vision of the next years is to build on the sustainability of this, and they've got 3 legs. The one is is child protection, and the second one is to build families, the family units again. The third one is adoption, and those 3 run hand in hand. So for me, the mission, the vision was to develop a sustainable, and I'm not going to say the organization, and to grow the organization to protect children, grow family values, and adopt children. And the mission, and I might get it upside down, is to develop a program to enhance sustainability with these. And then the values would be child protection, grow the family unit, grow the acceptance of adoption, and then entrench family values. That's what I thought so far.
Thank you, Davi, and you are well close to what I would call the perfect spot. So what I would tweak around there is to talk about the vision being maybe a child protected family set up element, a picture of a child, a protected child, family set up, and I think you had a third element there. And how do you do this? It's by you then come up with what it is, whether it's the financial program or a program that promotes that child safe, that protected child, growing family, and I think the third element that I missed there. So just work around, tweak that around, and I think that would help.
Thanks.
Lame, over to you.
Hi, Andrew. I've shared my vision in the chat box.
All right. So my vision is to lead a life that inspires others to unlock their potential and overcome their self-imposed limitations. Create spaces where people feel empowered to grow, learn, and thrive. I want to be a catalyst for transformation and guiding others as they embark on a journey towards a fulfilled and meaningful life. Beautiful vision. It's very loaded, so it's going to be difficult to paint every intricate aspect of that one. So what you want to do is to then give us a picture of what Lame looks like, because that vision is centered on what Lame would look like. So that when we see, you know, a former Miss Universe used to say, I want young girls to look at me and see themselves in me and consider themselves beautiful. So what are we going to see in you that is going to make us feel like we can also unlock our potential, we can overcome our self-imposed limitations, and so forth. So this is where you find particularly where you've got a particular element that typically would not be considered as would not be considered liberating, but because you have liberated yourself, we see you in different platforms. Because you've not been considered to be a leader, but you are on leadership platforms, suddenly we look at you and we're inspired because we look at that. Take Barack Obama, for example, when he gave his winning speech, or the speech that made him president. He says, my presence here is unlikely. But we believe in American dream for all. And so that was what then made that picture to inspire other young Black or young African young people to believe that they too could be on that platform. So thinking along those lines, you're now clarifying, what does Lame look like that will inspire others to take that on? Thabo, I hope that helps to get you started. Thabo, over to you. I think you'll be the last person. I don't think I still have more time, but let's see. Over to you, Thabo.
Thank you very much, Andrew. My vision or my mission is the continuation of that one team, one nation, which makes us the Rainbow Nation as a country in South Africa. I see that there is a paradigm shifting from that yardstick as we are becoming globally. I mean, in solidarity with maybe African Union or the global, but being a leader as South Africans, we are regarded as a leader in Africa, but we should be we should be, how to put it, we should be the blueprint instead of following other nations, whereas we are leaders, you see. So my mission would be that, and also seeing that it worked as in the rugby, because they are still maintaining that, and then they are accomplishing great things. Mm-hmm. So mine also, as the difference with us from other nations is that we are not just a democracy, but we are constitutional democracy, not parliamentary democracy or dictatorship. So I can see that now we are starting to label, if we are anybody who is sticking to that values or to that ontological security is labeled that no, you are being associated with a particular party, but it's not about the party, it's what we agreed upon as a nation to stick with it. Otherwise, the alternative is we are bringing suffering and burden to the public, to the citizens, voting citizens. So if we can maintain that, then we will be happy in the country. There won't be any brain brain drain people living with their skills to other countries. And then we would be able to lead the African continent as we deserve it.
What I would then tweak quickly there, Tabo, I think we're out of time. What I would quickly tweak there is to look at this music. I'll text it onto your chat. I'll text it on the chat in the interest of time. But quickly, it's South Africa as a blueprint. And then the mission would be, how do we make South Africa the blueprint that inspires other nations around the world? But the mission is South Africa as a blueprint. So that's what you would then tweak around. But on the chat, we can chat further. Back to you, Mr. PQD. I believe you're back in the room.
Thank you, sir. And I am in awe of what we've just received. I know people pay big bucks for such information from you. And I will give you that opportunity to put your contact details on the chat for those who would love to consult, for those who would love to give you an opportunity maybe to be in their corporates or any other thing. I think the world needs the information that we've just got now. Please, if you feel that you've got something out of this, unmute yourself and say, woohoo! Thank you, everyone, and thanks a lot. I know you are quite busy. I know you've got other projects that you're working on, even in your personal life. I know that because I'm close to you, but you still made time and came here to deliver this. And while you delivered, you didn't hold back. In fact, you gave as much as possible. And as you always do, you exceeded expectations. Thank you. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you, Madam TLI Chair, for putting this together, the PR and the excitement that you've built upon this. And I know there's a lot of admin that has to go behind this, and it is done. We've just taken the first step. It's a journey of 1,000 miles, beginning with the first step. Thank you to all of you who attended our first class. And by the way, at the end of this series, you are going to receive a certificate that says you've attended this series. And you can use that certificate in your CV. You can use that certificate in your profile, or whatever it is that can help you and build your profile to get to places that you want to get to. But make sure that everything that you learned here, you apply in your life, you apply in your organization, and you apply everywhere else that you want to apply. Our TLI chair is going to post our feedback form on the chats right now. Please complete that form because we want to be better. As we all know, feedback is a breakfast, lunch, and dinner of champions. Being 9:58, we would love to have that dinner because we want to make sure that we make this better and better and better. This is the first one we've done, I think, in 3 or 4 years since we've done such a series. So we want to improve it. And it is through you that we're going to improve it. So on the chat, there is going to be a feedback form. Please complete that feedback form. For you to receive the certificate, you need to have at least attended 5 of these events because we know life happens. But there's going to be 6 of them in total, but you need to make sure that you've at least attended 5 of them so that you can receive a certificate. And at this moment, I think this is a photo session. Estelle, am I forgetting something?
No, I think we have everything,
right?
sir. If you would like
and
to
our
be in the
next
picture
session is on there.
next week, same
Awesome.
time, same
For
place.
everyone that loves to, please put next week, same time, same place. And we are going to have
some nights.
Estelle, we will be having Sir Tim Nights. Now, if any of you have never had Sir Tim Nights, I think you need to be there. And all of you who've met Tim Nights, you will attest that Tim Nights has got a lot of gold to offer when it comes to communication, when it comes to personal development, and when it comes to leadership. So you don't want to miss next week or next week's session, which will be led by Tim Nights. And what's the name of the session, Estelle?
It will be the leader as a coach and feedback.
The leader as a coach. And I heard some of you saying leading is like coaching, it's like guiding, and it's like mentorship. And Tim Knight is one of those that will deliver such great value on that. And these people that are delivering these sessions were not chosen haphazardly. It's because we've seen it in their leadership style. We've seen how they lead when they do this. And we said this would be the best person to deliver the session. So you want to make sure that you are there. And please, while you are out there, start living like, what do I want to say? Living the way these sessions are delivered so that we can see the change in you. Because when people start seeing that change in you, they would know that these sessions do work. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you next week. I know Estelle is taking a lot of pictures. Estelle, are you taking pictures? When we are done, just say done, then we can leave. Put on your smile because you don't know which frame you're at.
I will circle back. I see some people only now put on their cameras, so I'll just go back to the beginning again. Okay, so Facebook smiles in 3, 2, 1. Right. I'm going on to the next page.
Maybe let's have a fun one now. Maybe you'll lead us on that one, I know.
Well, for that, you just have to think of what are you going to look like when you have heard you can win $1 million. What are you going to look like in 3, 2, 1? The winners! There you go. You are the winners. I hope you're taking photos, Estelle. Let's go. The winner again, just in case you didn't. 3, 2, 1, and yeah! You are the winners. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to seeing all of you next week when we go through the leader as a coach. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good
night.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Do you have a question? Non-Kuya? Oh, yeah. Do you have a question? I see your camera is on.
No, I'm trying to leave. There we go. Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, yes.
I would love to connect with is it Andrew, the one the guy was giving, the Andrew Tsuro?
Yes.
Yes.
How do I connect with him?
Okay, I'll write his email address on the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask?
Of course.
Yes.
Are we going to get the recording?
We will discuss
Recording.
it. We will definitely discuss it. Then we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Good night.
email address is on the chat.
Have a great evening.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. All right.
All right.
Vianney still loves being here.
I can understand why.
I'm not sure if I